Okay friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jessie. If you are new here, I do all kinds of lifestyle videos and motherhood vlogs, but I also share a little bit about our budget. I have been like very forthcoming and open with our budget, our debt, our savings goals, still renting in our late 30s, not owning a home, only living on one income, all that kind of stuff. Kind of put myself out there for people to judge and make decisions based on the information that I give them, and that's just like what I've put myself out for. But it's also just been really nice to connect with those of you who are in similar areas, you know, just want to hear like real numbers from real people versus like people who are maybe in just like a completely different tax bracket than you, which I feel like most of the people I aspire to be like obviously have more money or like a better financial system than I do. So I'm just like an everyday girl trying to figure things out. And today I'm going to take you through my November budget recap. We did go over budget a little bit. Pretty soon it will be 2026, which is crazy to me. Ben and I have some like serious financial goals. We have started looking into creating sinking funds and just like really hunkering down on what we spend. We still don't know if we're gonna move, when, if, where we're gonna move, and trying to like make that expense a little bit less than what it currently is. But as of right now, we're just going with what we have. Our living expenses are going to stay the same. So I've been working really hard to hopefully make an income here on social media that can be helpful for the family, or just like cutting down on small things like getting my nails done, getting my hair done, spending a lot of money on food out, things like that. We did still go over budget a little bit this month, and I know this is something that like can't continue if we actually have these goals. And I think it's important. Ben and I have like seriously sat down and talked about our goals, and we're going to have like we always do like a big end of year meeting where it's just him and I. We just have to figure out when we can get help for people to watch the kids. We want to kind of go through what our goals are as a family, but also like monetarily what we're planning out for 2026. So once I have a little bit more information on that, I will do my kind of 2026 overhaul budget, like what the year is gonna look like. January budget with me, just showing you like what the actual month will look like. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Today we're talking about November budget recap, what we spent in November. I recently did my December budget, so you guys can go and watch that if you want. I'm not going to go through goals this time because quite honestly I don't have time to, and I haven't even made goals for December yet. For those of you that enjoy that part, I'm really sorry, but this is when I have time to film. The heat just turned on, so there is a chance that I'm going to film this and not be able to use this content because of how loud the heat is. Okay, so here is an overview of November. Basically at the end of the month I had about $319 to move over. If you guys know, I try to keep between $400 and $500 in the account because the beginning of our month is a little bit shy with how much our rent is, but that didn't happen this month for moving into December, but we should be fine. Either way, I'm still glad that we weren't like negative or anything like that. So if we look over here, we made a little bit more than we budgeted for. We spent a tiny bit more on bills than we anticipated. Our debt was like a couple dollars off. Savings, we didn't put anything towards savings because I needed to move this stuff over. And then income, oh I'm sorry, that was variable expenses. Income was a little bit more than we anticipated, and plus I rolled over $469 from last month, so that is where we're at. Over here in income we budgeted $7,397.92 and brought in $7,689. If we move on to variable expenses, I will take you through like line item by line item in just a second, but if we look over here, you can see where we went over. So we went over on groceries by $338, which seems excessive. We also went over on eating out by $63. We were on budget in this category over by $300 on household supplies. That's crazy. Okay, over by $200 in personal spending. We didn't spend anything on medical. Utilities, we were under budget, so that's good. Car, we were under budget. Cora and Finn, we were under budget, just a tiny bit over budget on miscellaneous by $1.26. And then we were about $60 over budget on birthdays and holidays. So we intended on spending $34.40 and we spent over $4,000. So $637 over on variable expenses. We did not put anything into savings. I was expecting not to be able to put much in savings at this time with me not working and our rent being so high. That was just kind of what we were anticipating. I'm not like surprised by that. I'm just glad that we're not going negative, or we didn't have to take anything out of savings this month. So I'm grateful for that. I budgeted $200, like hoping that I could put that in there, but I didn't. Moving over to monthly bills, everything was pretty much on par. It looks like multimedia was high. That's Ben's stuff, and I like his apps and like random URLs that he has. And this is one of those categories that him and I kind of get like irritated with each other about, because he doesn't look at the budget. So I don't know what these are, and they're under his name. So I'm guessing that like an app came through that he didn't tell me was coming through, things like that. So those are the like small little things I want to get wrapped up for next year, so that we're not having these like random $50 over budget, which isn't that big of a deal. Obviously these are the like bigger deal ones, but it's still, you know, it's still better to be like closer to budget. Non-monthly bills, we didn't have anything. And then debt was pretty much on par. It looks like my SoFi loan was like a little bit less than I was anticipating, but anyways, moving on. If you look at this spending breakdown before we move into my transaction tracker, we spend about 34.44% on rent, which I think is like just above what you should spend it on. I think like the max you should spend on rent or something is like 30% of your budget. I don't know the actual, I should know that before I start like making things up. But for me, especially for rent, I think that that's too much, but that's just like where we're at right now. Until we move out of this area, we're going to be paying a high amount for rent. So that's just like where we're at right now. If that was like going toward a house that we owned, it would be like a little less sucky, but because it's going toward a house that we don't own and a house that we feel, or at least I feel very much in limbo in, like I'm not buying stuff for the house, I'm not setting the house up, it's not like the flow of it does not work for us. We have like a split level home with like 2 staircases. The rooms are very small. Like I have a bed in here and like the crib is shoved in here. There's like barely any walk room in here. Ben uses a whole room for his work, and then Ivy's bedroom is very small. It's just like the house is just like not, I love this house. I just want to say I actually do love this house, but it just like doesn't work for our family of 4 plus 2 large dogs. And I knew that like when we moved in and I had Poppy, I very much was like, we cannot stay in this house long term, because with 2 kids this is going to be fairly impossible. We still did, and Poppy's going to be 1 in a couple of months and we'll still be here. I'm feeling that tightness, and that like I just feel like the house just doesn't work for where we are at right now. If Ben didn't work from home full time, it would be a completely different story. But because he works from home full time, he uses the kitchen full time. He comes up and down the stairs. He uses a full bedroom out of the 3 that we have. And we have 4 people living in this house. So we only have 2 bedrooms for 4 people, which is, I understand that like a lot of people live in like a 1 or 2 bedroom home who are like in a really hard spot or are trying to like save a lot of money. But it's hard for us because like these Chicago, Illinois homes, like the rooms are also very small. Anyway, I'm just like blabbering on, but I'm just saying for a rental, I don't think we should be paying over 30% of our income for that. But then on top of that, for a rental house that isn't working for us on the daily, I think that that's also hard. But that's just where we are right now, and I'm still grateful for this house. I like the house. I like where we live. I like the amount of like sunlight and stuff that we get when it's sunny out, so that's nice. But yeah, it just feels overwhelming in days like today where we're having to put Poppy or Ivy in front of the TV so we can get Poppy to sleep. I'm like shoved in a room using a ring light trying to get like any filming done. Ben's taking up a whole room for his work stuff. It's just, a lot. Groceries, 23% of our income, which I'm sure you shouldn't be spending that much on, but we've talked about the food thing. If you have any questions, leave them down below, but you guys understand my stance on that. Household supplies was about 10%, and then the next biggest was personal spending this month, which I'll go through. I don't remember exactly why our personal spending was so high, so we'll go through that in a minute. And then the rest of the stuff is kind of like minuscule or kind of the same. So moving on, these are not all in direct order, but that doesn't really matter. You guys don't need to know the dates of stuff. Technically, you don't need to know any of this stuff, and I just am very forthcoming with this information. If you can't tell, I'm starting to feel a little like more and more unsure that I want to share this much information, both my kids and our money. I just feel like I'm just like feeling weird about it. So I'm trying to figure out where my in-between is with that, with being like very transparent. And you know, I like sharing all of this information, but then at the same time, it feels uncomfortable sometimes to share this much of our life online, especially when we have people in our life that are highly judgmental of the decisions that we make. But also it's just weird to like show you literally everything that I'm spending, but we're gonna keep doing it today. So let's see, eating out, groceries. We are gonna try to cut back on Thrive Market. That I'm not planning on eating as much processed food this month. So most of the stuff from Thrive and Costco are Ben's things anyway. He eats a lot of food, he eats a lot of snacks. He's always been like this. So that's just what it is, and we eat higher quality food. But I do want to kind of chill on some of the like packaged Thrive Market food, stuff like that. I love Thrive Market. I just think that we need to chill on it. Another thing we need to chill on is me getting food or coffee out as per usual. We got some meat from a farm, got some Nespresso for myself, basically for this month and next month, or November and December. I don't think I'm gonna have to buy coffee until like toward the end of the month. See, our utilities weren't as high as I was anticipating. So okay, here's one of the household supplies thing. So we spent some money at Sierra, about $62 that we weren't anticipating. I got some winter boots, we got a ball for our dog, and then Ben got some popcorn. We got our Who Gives a Crap, which is like our toilet paper, our paper products, like tissues, all that kind of stuff. I did buy some nail polish for Ivy from TikTok Shop. So you'll see I did make a couple of purchases this month that were a little bit more impulse spendy than I would prefer to be. I've had like, I'm not making excuses, but I've just had like more of a stressful month with the procedure that I had earlier this month and just not having as much help. And I feel like I tend to fall into like impulse eating or impulse spending, and I'm much better at it than I used to be like years ago, but sometimes it still comes up and I'll get like pulled into something. So this was one of those things, like the nail polish for Ivy. I also got myself some underwear from TikTok Shop, which is something that I needed, but anyways, they're just like a couple random things like that. Costco, we spent $375. We also got a little bit, a jacket and some clothing for Ben and Ivy at Costco. I did have to pull savings over, but then I put it back, which is why that is at zero. The reason that I have to do that, by the way, is because currently Ben's first check just covers our rent. So I pay rent at the beginning of the month and it pretty much wipes out 3/4 of his check. So if we have any other bills or like Costco or Thrive Market come out, that's like the rest of his check. So that's why I try to keep rollover in there every month. And then when the 15th comes and he gets paid again, like we don't have any issues the rest of the month, and I pay back the savings usually from, which is what I did this month, but sometimes we just need a little bit of extra, and unfortunately this was one of those months. Okay, so another like kind of impulse buy thing was these protein bars that I got from TikTok Shop. Our phone bill is pretty high. I did get some money back from Rakuten, which is like this thing that I use when I like buy anything online, and it'll like, I don't know, it gives you like some savings. So that's from like a few months. So I made $8, which is still money, you know. Couple more groceries, car insurance, got some gas in here, soda, eating out. So that is a restaurant we went to for lunch when we went to New Glarus, Wisconsin. Ben got a haircut. getting some Indian food out, coffee out. The Vintage Cafe I usually go to when I'm working, so that was what that was for. I ended up going to Ulta. I had to get some hairstyling cream, so that was why that was up. ButcherBox, I don't know, I might pull back on ButcherBox again just because of like where our money is at right now. TJ Maxx. Okay, so here's a couple things. TJ Maxx, we spent $90 at TJ Maxx, and I don't even remember what it was that we got. Now I can't remember, but I think it was like clothing. Oh, I got myself boots, like these black boots that I had been wanting, a pair of tights. So it was like clothing, stuff like that, which you'll see in my 2026 budget when I start doing sinking funds. I'm gonna start having like a clothing and personal spending sinking fund, so that I'm not having these months where we just like, I feel like some months we don't spend any money in personal spending and other months we go like super over. So that's where something like a sinking fund comes in handy. Okay, I had to restart my camera there because I'm blabbing too much. So then if we go here, we got some food, cash back from my Ally card. I went to Dunkin'. I bought Flav City coffee, which I still haven't tried. I purchased this iced coffee stuff to drink, and I still haven't tried. So that's great. 7 Brew, I got a sniff candle. It's actually right behind you, but I did have to pay shipping on it, so that's what that is. More groceries, a lot of money on groceries this month. So we got some winter clothes from Old Navy for the girls for 43 bucks. Household supply, again, we went back to Costco because Ben needed to get, what are they called? Air filters. I did get a YouTube AdSense payment this month, which was $110. Ben had random multimedia stuff come out. Starbucks. I did use a gift card, but Starbucks is expensive, so a $5 gift card doesn't really get you much. I did buy Christmas pajamas for everyone, which was $70. That was for us and Elizabeth. So one of those will be part of her Christmas present. I had randomly had a Chewy prescription just like renew, which that's a whole other story, but wasn't expecting that. I did make $75 on another partnership, which was exciting. I got Thai food out, and it's showing up as 0 because something was like off, but I did spend money there. I just don't know what was off. Okay, so a lot of these like last minute purchases came from Black Friday. I was waiting to order some makeup that I was out of from Black Friday, so that was what the $65 was. Our 2 loans came out. Ben bought a concert ticket for a concert he's gonna go to with his brother in April. We have coffee, hot chocolate, eating out basically. I did get a new phone, so I had to pay like the $43 fee or something on that. I got some Christmas gifts, which was almost $90 for Ben, Tim, and Peter, which is Ben and his family. We will still be getting like other gifts, but that was something that just happened to be on sale for Black Friday, so I got that. Groceries, gas, more coffee, another coffee, Raising Cane's, Thai food. Okay, yeah, so I've eaten out a little bit more than I definitely should have. Ben's supplements, AquaTrue filters, that was a big one that came out that I wasn't anticipating. I didn't know we needed them, and Ben didn't tell me, which is a communication error on our end. Again, these are the types of things where like having a sinking fund would be helpful, so that if something like filters for our water filter go on sale, we're not then getting hit with like $150 in a month where I didn't budget for it. A couple of things from a farmer's market. I did get some lotion that I was completely out of. Eating out again, dog food, groceries, more eating out, and then household supplies. Diapers for the dog, diapers for the kids, pads, and a phone case, because I needed one because I got this new phone and I haven't gotten a case, or hadn't gotten a case, and I dropped it and like chipped a piece off within 24 hours of getting it. I was very annoyed, so I just got a case like last minute from Target just to have one. That is what we spent in November, a little bit like all over the place. Hopefully I can even use this footage with how loud the heat is, but I just wanted to show you guys what we spent. We did go over budget. The biggest issues are going out to eat or getting coffees out. Now I will say the one thing that just like kind of sucks is you can just get a couple of like quick things, but because coffee and stuff is like so expensive right now, you guys know, whatever, like it just is what it is. So that kind of sucks. I struggle with that one. Groceries, definitely over budget. Household, because of those like random filters and like air filters and stuff that we had to get that I wasn't aware of, so I didn't budget for it. A communication error, both of our faults. So that one came through. So it makes sense why we were over budget on things like household and personal spending. Personal spending was like clothing that we weren't anticipating getting, but we ended up needing it for some reason. I think that sinking funds are really going to help us in the new year, because I want to have a sinking fund for like, you know, we'll talk about this more in like my 2026 budget, but I just want to have like more space to like be putting money toward the sinking fund, refilling it if we need it, but instead of then like blowing our budget at the end of the month or making it look like we blew our budget where we can't actually be meeting our goals, we can be like, okay, well, we have $300 in our sinking fund right now for clothing. Is that, do we want to spend it on this Old Navy like sale? Do we want to spend it on this TikTok shop shirt? Like, what do we want to do here? Is that worth it? And then we can like replenish the sinking fund. So I think that that is going to be our plan for 2026, is really diving into sinking funds, hopefully start making some additional money that I can start putting toward things like debt or filling out our sinking funds a little bit faster. And yeah, but we'll talk about that in our upcoming videos. Today was just taking you through what happened in November. We were over budget in a lot of categories. We still didn't have to pull anything from savings that we kept from savings. Hopefully that won't be as much of an issue moving forward. Next year we made some changes to the things that are being pulled out of Ben's budget, like how much his insurance is, things like that. So we'll be saving money in different ways, like in an HSA and in a sinking fund, versus having super high coverage insurance that's like super expensive. Last year I was pregnant, we knew we were going to have a baby, or this year, so it was important to have like a high coverage plan, and we're kind of hoping that we can like, you know, save a little bit of money this next year, since we both don't go to doctors that are covered by our insurance anyway. It is what it is. Anyway, I'm blabbing so much. Oh my gosh, this is gonna be so long to edit, and hopefully I can even use the footage. And if you can't tell, I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed right now with where life is, and unsure, I guess, is what it is. And I am grateful for what we have, and for the money we have, and the rental we have, and the help we have, and all of that kind of stuff. I'm so grateful that I get to stay home with my kids every day. I know there's so many people that want to do that aren't able to. It is a financial sacrifice for us, because me not working means we don't have additional income. Although, to be completely honest, with how much childcare is, because we don't have anybody that could do it for free, I think that we would actually be losing money if I went back to work, to be honest. And I would be losing my mind. So I am grateful that I don't have to do that. But I'm gonna stop blabbing, because now I need to go make everybody dinner, and then I need to try to figure out how to edit some of this stuff. Thanks so much for watching. Sorry, I hope that I can even use this footage, because I just feel like I'm a ball of just anxious, complaining energy, which is not usually my vibe, but I'm just feeling a little bit overwhelmed today. Sometimes that's how we feel. So thanks so much for watching. I appreciate all of you. I'll see you in the next video.